Welcome to this week's edition of The Gun Doctor. The ultra-rare Winchester Experimental Briggs patent carbine was sold at auction for $172,500 to a private collector on the West Coast, according to Grant Wendling of the Kentucky-based Lewis & Grant Auctions. The Winchester Experimental Briggs patent carbine is not only the first of an important series of prototype firearms leading up to the creation of the Winchester Model 1866, but it was personally presented by Oliver Winchester to the gun's designer, George F. Briggs. It stayed in the Briggs family for almost 100 years. So what made this rifle such a rare rifle? Well, it was basically the link or the missing link between two guns. According to an article written by David Maccar, the Henry rifle was probably the most important lever gun introduced in the 1860s. It came at the very beginning of the decade and was a tremendous leap forward for firearms design. The Henry was produced by the New Haven Arms Company in Connecticut beginning in 1860 and fired the brand new .44 Henry rimfire metallic cartridge. It could hold an astonishing 15 +1 rounds, and the easy-to-operate lever action meant the gun could be fired as quickly as someone could work the action and pull the trigger. What many don't realize is that Henry was actually made by Winchester. Well, it was made by the company that would become Winchester. Benjamin Henry worked for Volcanic Repeating Arms, which was founded and operated by Horace Smith and Daniel Wesson. Yes, that's Smith & Wesson. Until it went belly up in the 1850s. The company's largest stockholder was a clothing manufacturer named Oliver Winchester. Along with his partner, John M. Davies, Winchester bought the company's assets and reorganized in 1857 as the New Haven Arms Company. Henry stayed on and continued working on a project he started with Smith, a self-contained rimfire cartridge. The result was the .44 Henry rimfire round. Concurrently, he supervised the design of the Henry 1860 to use his new ammo. Its lever action was loosely based on that of the Volcanic rifle and pistol, which used severely underpowdered rocket ball ammunition. The Henry was the first practical repeating rifle and a huge success, but it wasn't perfect. Well, things soon soured between Winchester and Henry, and Ben Henry left amidst a flurry of lawyers and suits, and Oliver Winchester reorganized the business as the Winchester Repeating Arms Company. He then set about making the necessary improvements to the Henry rifle. Winchester put George F. Briggs in charge of updating the gun's magazine and loading system. Briggs realized all the problems stemmed from the fact that the gun was loaded from the muzzle, so he created a way to load the mag tube from the breech instead. The first prototype Briggs created is the very firearm that was auctioned by Lewis & Grant back in May of this year. Amazingly, the gun is in pristine condition, well kept first by the Briggs family and then by private collectors, according to Bill Lewis, COO of Lewis & Grant Auctions. This particular rifle was completed sometime in 1866. The patent for its design was filed on October 16, 1866, and then Winchester purchased it from Briggs. Bill Lewis said, "This piece, in my opinion, is one of the most iconic Winchesters you can have. I mean, you can theorize, without this, where would Winchester be?" Though the gun has never been shot, it likely could cycle and fire. When you pull the hammer back a little bit and slide the bolt back, you can see both of the rimfire firing pins are still there, Lewis said. The extractor heads, which are at 12 and 6 o'clock, are still in place. The bolt is just absolutely mint. The bore is mint, it's unfired. It really is the granddaddy of Winchester, he added. The rifle is a .44 rimfire caliber, 21-inch round barrel, has a nickel-plated barrel and magazine with engraved brass frame, and the right side of the frame features vines on a stippled background. On the left side are two finely etched Arabian horses. The rifle also has a blued 500-yard rear barrel sight, blued breech bolt, case-colored hammer and lever, and a deluxe, highly figured piano-varnished walnut buttstock. Well, there you have it, one of the rarest guns that fills the gap of two other iconic guns, and we want to give a shout-out and special thanks to Dave Maccar for his article and Grant Wendling of Lewis and Grant Auctions for providing information on one of the rarest rifles in existence. We'd also like to thank Smoke and Gun Works for sponsoring The Gun Doctor. Smoke and Gun Works, buy, sell, or trade, shoot, shop, or train. You can do it all at Smoke and Gun Works. Smoke and Gun Works, 8785 North Baileyville Road, Foreston, Illinois. For The Gun Doctor, I'm Tim Bibbins.